In this lesson, we're going to be looking at how we can insert text boxes. So let's say, for instance, we want to insert a text area here within the document. So you've got a few options that you can insert some text. So one of them is adding text inside of a table. So you can do that, as well as drawing and inserting the text as an image. So first, let's look at how we can insert it as a table. So going into the table, you've got an option here to insert one cell table, and then this can be treated like a text box. So this is just one option to do this. So adding text to the document, and we're going to look at tables in a little bit more detail coming up. You can add text into the document, and you do have some options that you have with the table where you can update the borders, you can get rid of the borders, you can clear the borders, you can have only borders on the top, bottom, and there's also, when you do make the selection of the text box, you can also update the borders with the short menu here where you can change the border width, so you can change it to 0 width, and that will remove out any of the borders. So this gives you some options for a text box, and in some cases, it's going to be ideal, and then you can resize it to reposition it to where you want the text to appear. The other option is to insert the text. So you can go to Insert, and with the text, you have an option to insert a drawing. And with the drawing, select New. And from here, you're going to have an option to insert a text box. So adding in the text box. And this is going to insert it as an image, so it'll be treated just like an image, but with some limited options, so not exactly like an image because this is an editable image. And then you can resize it, update the dimensions as needed, the text properties, so you can also change the font size. You can realign it, so you can center align it if you want. You can also change the font size and so on. So you've got all of the typical options that you have for updating the text within the mini menu here within the drawing pop-up. You also have an option to do a fill color, so that will update the fill color of the text box. And then there's also an option to do the border color, and you can update the border however you want. So if you want to have a wider border, you can change the border. You can also update the border style, so it can be dotted, dashed, and so on. So those are all the different options that you have for the text box. You can also update and add in shapes. We'll look at drawing in a little bit more detail as well in this lesson. So once you save and close, it will insert this new text box. It's more flexible when you do it as a drawing. And then, of course, you have the same options to resize. With the table, you're fairly limited to the options. You can update the text color. You can update the highlight color, as well as some other typical table properties. And because this is a table, you're going to have the typical table properties and options as well for this. So when it is treated as an image, you have options to align it, wrap it with the text. So that wraps the text around it. You can break the text, so break the text after it, or you can have the text inline to the image. So it gets treated as an image. There's more image options, and you also have options when you select, you can size, and you can see all of the image options. So when you do the size and rotation, and you can also select it and resize it as needed. So let's update, and we can lock the aspect ratio. We don't have to lock the aspect ratio because this is an image. So if we want to make it wider and keep the height at the same percentage, we're able to do that. So we've got an inches as well as a percentage width. There's options for the text wrapping here. So these are the same ones that we have here in the mini menu. So that's going to pop up this image options menu where you can handle all of the stuff for the image. And then if you find you want to update and edit the image, you can always select the image, select edit, and this will give you an option to bring it back into the edit mode where you can update the content. So if you wanted to update the content, and makes it really nice and easy way to update the image content as needed. And then, of course, you can add in additional text. So if you want more than one text box, you have that option. And I'm going to make the screen a little bit smaller because we're missing the scroll bars at the bottom. And you can draw and add as much as you need, as much content as you need to this drawing. And let's update the size for this one. And also we're going to center it. And for this one, we can also have an option to center a line as well. And I'll make it a little bit bigger. So when we save and close, this is still going to be treated as one image. So even though that we had two separate text boxes, this is still being treated as one image. So when I resize it and I move it around, I make adjustments to it, it's going to resize accordingly. So coming up next, we're going to do a little bit more on images. And then there's also the image options toolbar that shows up found under Format Image. When you do Format, you can select Image, and here it's got some image options. But because this is an editable image, so you don't have the option to crop or replace or reset the image. So it is limited to some of the image options. And we're going to take a look at what more some other options we have with images coming up next.